everybody. Welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Marvelous Monday. I'm Leslie Watkins. Hello. And I hope you're all well. Thank you for joining me. Today I wanted to show you something that I think is pretty marvelous. And that is this embossed paper, and I used something called the Old World Paper 3D embossing folder, and this is something that's going to be available on June 3rd. And what it is a embossing folder that has this wonderful texture that gives you the appearance of crumpled up paper. But what makes it really special is the amount of dimension that's on here. So this is the right side. This is the reverse side. Both sides are wonderful. And I really like this a lot. And you know, one of the things as a watercolor painter that we sometimes do for a special effect is to take the paper and crumple it all up and then paint on it. And what happens is the paint gets down into all of the little crevices and the grooves, and it creates a kind of a special effect. And this reminds me of that. And so I'm going to show you how to do this today. And this color, by the way, is called Just Jade, and it's one of the new in colors that is also going to be released on June the 3rd. So if you don't have the brand new Stampin' Up! Catalog that you can find all these things in, please let me know. You can go to my website at Dandelion Cottage Design, and you can see a lot of stuff there. Or you can just message me, get in touch with me, email me, call me, whatever works best for you, and let me know that you'd like to have a catalog, okay? And I'll get that out to you. So, to do this, first thing I'm going to do is take my trimmer. Let me go get a piece of paper. And I'm going to measure this at 5 1/4 by 4. Okay, and that's the perfect size to use as a mat on a standard 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 card. And now here's the thing about the 3D embossing folders. These give a lot more texture than your typical embossing folder. So if you don't want the paper to crack under the strain, what you do is you take your spritzer. So here's my spritzer. And just give that a little spritz, both sides, and that will allow the paper to have a little give. Now I'm using the old die cutting machine, but in another 2 days the brand new die cutting machines are going to be available, and I'm looking forward to getting one of those. So those will also be available on June 3rd. So now here's my embossing folder. I'm going to place my damp paper in there like so, and then I'm going to remove one of the cutting plates. I'm just going to put this into the machine so that the fold is going into the roller. You don't want to put it in this way because you could crack the folder itself. So make sure you have the fold edge pointing in. Get that lined up on there, and then take one cutting plate and put that on the top. And it takes a little bit of muscle, but it'll go through. And then, let me get this out of the way. When you open up your folder, this is what you get. Okay, so I'm just going to put this aside to finish drawing. In the meantime, I have another one ready to go. So here we are. Here's our card front, and I'm going to make a card using this suite from Forever Greenery, and I have the stamp set Forever Fern, and I have the dies Forever Flourishing. And I have to give a shout out to Rhonda Wade, who designed this terrific way to mount your DSP so that you can see both sides, because this is two-sided decorative paper. So with these little 2" by 2" squares, you've got the one side and the other side, and you can see all 6 designs on one page. And these are the corresponding cardstocks and ink colors that match the suite. So this makes it very easy to see what goes with what. So today we're going to be using the Just Jade paper, and I also have the coordinating ribbon, and I also have Pear Pizzazz ink here, and I have the Garden Green ink. Now, while I have the machine out, I'm going to cut out a couple of die shapes. So here's my Pear Pizzazz cardstock. There you go. And I'm just going to take the paper, put it on the bottom cutting plate. So I have my magnetic platform, I have a cutting plate, then the paper, and now I'm just going to take an assortment of these dies. And we'll use this one. And I'll just grab some of these little ones and sort of fill in the spaces here. There we go. Okay, so there's a nice assortment of shapes. Now I'm putting my top cutting plate on there. Send that through. Sorry for the wiggling. There we go. I want to move this out of the way. And there we go. So I store my dies on these magnetic sheets, and then I label them with the name of the dies, and I also put the number of how many dies there are in the set, so I can always be sure that that everything is accounted for. And if you're interested in getting these magnetic sheets, there is a link on my page under shop at dandelioncottagedesign.com, and there's a link that will bring you to Stampin' Storage, and you can see all the different storage solutions that they offer to paper crafters. All right, so, oops. I'm missing, how did that disappear so fast? There it is. Okay, I got it. I'm just gently pressing these out. These dies are so fine. The detail is really amazing. And then you can just take your poker. I'm using a piercing tool to just remove these extra bits. Oh, there's one more. There we go. I sometimes just cut out a bunch of dies to have on hand so that they're ready to go. And what I'll do is I'll take the shapes and put them into a one of these clear envelopes. So I'll store them in there, and I'll just put it right inside the stamp case so they're ready to go. Looks like a maidenhair fern. Okay, so there we have our shapes. And you can see what they look like on that textured background. It gives you a lot of texture. So that kind of gives you a sense of what the finished card will look like. I also want to add a sentiment. I'm going to use this one. You can do this. I know I've used this before, but I like that. And I'm looking for a scrap piece of white paper. Let's see what I've got here. I'm going to use the Pear Pizzazz. Well, that was a little crooked. Let's try that again. doing so well here. Let's try one more time here without rocking the stamp. There we go. Okay. So what I'm going to do with the sentiment is I'm just going to cut it out and give it a little fishtail by cutting in the center and then cutting the 2 points to meet up like so. There we go. And I'm going to do a little bit of sponging. So here's my pear pizzazz again. And I'm taking a quarter of a sponge that I cut apart. And I'm just going to pounce that into the ink and just give it a little flick on all the sides. And I'm going to angle the sponge a little bit so that you can see a little more of the ink on the front. And the other thing I'm going to do is take my bone folder and I'm just going to give that a little bit of a curl. And then the other way too. So it has a nice wavy shape to it. Okay, now I'm going to begin assembling the card, but before I do that, I want to add a piece of this Just Jade ribbon. So I'm taking a length of ribbon that's slightly longer than the width of the card. I'm taking my tear and tape. Just going to put a little strip right across there like that. Move the backing and press my ribbon into there. So that's going to hold it steady. And then I'll take a couple of, actually I think I'll use a glue dot for the back. Just put a glue dot on the end of the ribbon and press that down to hold it in place. Like that. Now I'm taking my liquid glue and putting a little extra than what I would normally use on the cardstock because I want it to get into all of those crevices and grooves and have good adhesion. There we go. Give that a nice press. And now using the glue dots, I'm going to start with this larger fern shape. I think I'm going to switch to the liquid glue for this one. I'm just going to dot around on some of the larger leaves. And I'm being careful to get some of the outer leaves so that they don't lift and bend. There we go. Get that situated on there. Just hold it in place for a minute. I'm going to grab my next larger die cut, but this time I'm only adding the glue to the lower leaves because I want the upper leaves to have a little freedom to curl up a little bit. And I'm just gonna keep building my little leafy bouquet. And if you get a little bit too much glue come out like that, just wipe that. Give it a little wipe. You can use a tissue. So this is really a very simple card, but it has lots of texture and dimension because of that wonderful embossing folder. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a stamping dimensional. I'm going to put that in the center of my sentiment, and then I'm going to add a second one on top of that because I really want that to lift up. Then I'm going to take glue dots and put those towards the ends. Like that. Right, and I'm just going to put this sort of diagonally under there, under that leaf. Like so. And now I can take the remainder of my little die cuts and I'm just going to tuck those under the ends like so. So they're kind of peeking out. Cute. Now to dress it up just a little bit more, I'm going to take my ribbon, which I have misplaced. I have no idea where it went to. Here we go, right in front of me, as usual. I'm just going to tie a little bow. And then I'm going to adhere that with a glue dot. Right on top of the ribbon that I already placed on the card. Now, if you want to take it a step further, you can take some of these. Let's see what I've got here. We'll use these. They're handy. Actually, let's use something new. It's actually not so new, but these are the champagne rhinestones. So whatever you like, whatever you happen to have. I'm just going to add a little bit of sparkle. And there you have it. A beautiful little supportive card, but I really think that this amazing textured background is what steals the show. So again, that is called the Old World Paper 3D embossing folder. And I think that that's something that you're really going to want to have on hand. I intend on using that quite a bit. So thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you on Wednesday at 12 noon for Watercolor Wednesday. And if we're lucky, one of the peonies will be ready to paint. That's what I'm hoping for. And I'm also looking forward to doing a lot of work with the new Peony Garden stamp set that's coming out this month. So I'm always excited for June and the peonies. So stay tuned for more of that. If you want to learn more about my online classes that I have coming up this month, I'll be sending out a notice later today. Today's the 1st. And you can get one by subscribing to Notes from Dandelion Cottage. And that comes out on the 1st of each month. And it describes all of the classes, and it tells you how to register, and you get that right in your mailbox. And this month I'm going to have several classes. I'm going to have watercolor, painting with ink, and a couple of paper crafting classes, so you won't want to miss that. So just go to dandelioncottagedesign.com and subscribe to Notes, and you will be up to date. So thank you, and I'll see you next time.